Hi and welcome back to the channel. Now today I want to talk to you about release, how we release our the hands and the club at the ball. There's two ways that you can do it, but I have a preferred method and I want to show you what it is. So come on, let's go do it. Okay, so release. What is release? Well, release is when we're swinging a golf club. There is going to be a point at some moment in time when you're going to have to release the club and let it pivot past your hands. And how we do that is crucial in how accurate we want to hit the ball. So I want to show you that there's two ways in which you can do it, and there is a preferred way that I do it, and I'd rather you did it this way, and I'll explain to you why, but I'll explain both of them, and then that way then you can decipher which one suits you best. Some of it boils down to how you hold the club, to be fair, but ideally, if you do it the way in which I'm going to show you, you will be a heck of a lot straighter and you'll be able to hit the ball further because you'll be able to release it with confidence without the fear of the ball going left, for example. So there's two ways in which you can do it. The first way is the old classic fashioned roll release. So when I stand here and I make a golf swing, my forearms will rotate and the toe of the club, let's say for example, will point roughly towards the sky. And then at some point in the downswing, I have to re-rotate those hands and I'll have to roll the hands through impact in order to then square the face off. Now, I'm not talking about a massive snap rolling of the wrist, but there's a gradual turning of the club face through impact to then get the toe of the club pointing up to the sky on the way through, so that my right hand is more on top of the left hand and there's been a sort of a rolling of the wrist. Now years ago we were told that you've got to try and get the back of the left hand to almost feel like it's facing to the ground and to shake hands with the target is what it was. So there's been a turning motion of the right hand. Basis on that was basically if I was to stand and hold the club this way, turn there and turn and face it, it was square to me, but actually that's actually closed to the path or the swing path. So there's a sense of it actually going from open the face to closed, and you've got to try and time that. And hey, look, you can play that way, and there's many a great golfer out there that does actually play that way even now. You've got to remember though, with some of these tour players, they're exceptionally talented beasts and they can time that up. Now I played that way for years. I learned through books, videos, coaches and so on. They all told me that, you know, on the backswing, you've got to be toe up, shaft parallel to the ground and parallel to the target line. The toe of the club would be pointing up towards the sky and you've got to feel like you're shaking hands with the target. Okay, well, this causes an opening of the club face to the path. All right, so my swing path at an angle here, which is roughly in line with my spine. Well, the leading edge there is now vertical to the sky, and that's now what we would call open to the swing path. So at some point in some moment of time, I've now got to try and square that face up again. So, and then on the follow through, if I do it this way towards you, so I've gone from being open on the way back and on the way through, the shaft again is now parallel to the target line. I'm no offense to that one at all, but I've had to have a turning, a gentle turning of the forearm. So we often get told you've got to get the back of the left hand to face up to the target, which is what this is doing here, but I've had to rotate it in the backswing, so I've got to rotate it again on the forward swing and then carry on rotating it on the follow through to get the toe of the club pointing up to the sky, and my right hand feels like it's rolled on top of the left, so the back of my glove now feels like it's facing behind me. Okay. Nothing wrong with playing that way at all. You can play that way because you can create a bit more power doing that, but you can also hit it right, hit it left, hit it anywhere probably other than where you want it to actually go. So there's no stability in the face there at all. It's a turning motion. Okay, so that's method one, and you can do that. You can simply do that. I've did it for a number of years in trying to do that. I haven't done it for a little while now. It generally comes from though if you have what we call a weak grip, where you can see two knuckles on the back of the left hand, because that's not how the joints align. My joints align up so that they hang down, and actually it'd be in a much stronger position, so that when I swing, if I swing it with a weaker grip, and if I just put pressure on my arm, which I'll explain a bit more in a second, the club face is going to open. I'm going to have to find a way to close it through the swing. So you have to learn to do that release, and if you're not prepared to change your grip, which is probably easier to do than trying to learn a new pattern, then ideally you're going to have to learn to release the hands. It's as simple as. But I played that way for many years. and did okay with it, to be honest with you. I had reasonable success with it, but you had to have a bit of a slower swing because you had to time that method up in order to square the face up. The young kids now have gotten away with it and working the ball better now because the ball doesn't spin as much as it used to. So it doesn't get the curves off as I used to get, and the height. But yeah, so it was always toe up, toe up. For me, it always went left. So toe up, toe up. I had to really feel like I'm working the hands over in order to square the face up. So that's method one. It's what we call I call it the roll release. I don't know, there's plenty of names for these things out there anyway, but I want to show you next what I call the throw release, which is method two. So method two is what we call the throw release. Now I'm very fortunate that I have a window to Mike Malaska, who's one of the top coaches in America, and he kindly coaches me, but he also mentors me as well. And one of the big things that I've learned from him is this throw release, and it's been around for a number of years, but it's biomechanically in our world more sound way of trying to hit the ball straight and hit the ball further, because it functions on how the wrists naturally want to work, rather than rotation. So the face is more stable through impact. So I did a bit of work in trying to change this and feel this, and I'll show you a way in which I did it, which is very simple. But it's just having an understanding as to why we're doing it is really key. So the whole point is we're trying to stabilize the club and stop too much rotation. Now, we at Malaska, we wear a lot of this thing. So basically I've just got an alignment stick shoved into a glove. And basically this alignment rod here, hopefully you can see it, this alignment rod runs at a 90-degree angle to my wrist, okay? Now, if I can manufacture what we call a throw motion. So a throw motion is if I was going to throw a ball, okay, say at the camera this way, and I was going to throw it, my wrist would hinge back and forth in this manner, okay? So extension and flexion, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it, I just say bend back on itself. Now, when I'm throwing a ball, if I want to throw it fairly straight, my wrist would work hinged back naturally, inertia would take over with the ball, and then it would hinge forward towards the target, okay? There would be no twisting of the hand, and this was trying to spin it, okay? But to try and throw it relatively straight, I would throw back and forth this way. So throw it into my net. If I was throwing it that way, it works back this way and throws that way. So it throws relatively straight, okay? There is no way I would stand there and twist my hand back and twist it on the way through. I would have no control or timing on that as well. So I'm trying to take this action here, this throw action, or this hinge, this flexion and extension in the backswing, but instead of being up here, I'm taking it down here. Okay, so I'm moving it from being here to swing through in here. Now what you should be able to see with this stick is how relatively square my wrist stays, or my hand stays, to my swing path, which is what we're trying to achieve. So if I add a club to that now, it's going to stay back, hinge down, hit, and then swing through. My whole club face stays relatively stable. There's going to be a small amount of turning in it, but I'm not going from here, turn to turn. Okay, so there's none of this instability in the face or unreliability. Okay, if I can hinge back this way and throw that way, I'm creating a much more stable club face. Okay, so that's what we're trying to create here with this throw release. And it hits the ball pretty straight, and that's what we really want to try and do. And this is with every single club in the bag, from wedge all the way up to driver, even putter as well. If I do this with the putter, I can keep the putter face relatively square. I can have as much hinge wrist as I like, but I know the club face is going to remain square to that. Okay, it's going to remain square to my swing path. So that's the whole reason why we do or implement, and I trained quite hard to get this throw release. Okay, and that's really where we're seeing the modern tour player go to now. Your Brooks Koepkas, your Dustin Johnsons, they have this great throw release because a lot of them are all American superstars. You know, they come from baseball and start throwing a ball in basketball. You know, if you throw a ball in basketball, you're going to throw it this way. As soon as you add in spins on it, the ball's going to go offline. So you're trying to keep it relatively straight. If I'm bowling a ball in 10-pin bowling or crown green bowlings, my hand's trying to work as straight as possible. I'm not trying to add in spin 10-pin bowling, you probably are if you're a professional, but if you're trying to roll it straight, your hand would work naturally this way, and that's what we're trying to achieve with the golf swing when we hit through. So that's what a throw release is. Now you can also then put your hand in its natural position, which is where my arm hangs down naturally here, it turns in naturally, and that's where I want to hold it with my left arm so that I can hinge that correctly, but then my right hand can come in and stabilize the face. Another thing as well why I like the throw release is because it stabilizes, okay? It stabilizes the impact of the ball hitting the face, or my club head hitting the ball, let's say. So if I was to fall over, if I was going to fall over like this, my hands would naturally go that way to be able to take the force, okay? So my right arm and my hand can line up behind the back of the club. So it's going to take the force. So it's the same thing when I'm hitting a ball. I want my right arm and right hand to be square behind the shaft to take the brunt of that impact. If my hand is on top here, it's going to jolt and it's not going to have stability. So it's really important. For me, I'm fully invested in this throw release action, and if you can learn to do it, if you can learn to put a ball in a tee peg, would be amazing. But if you can learn to do it, you can actually create a fairly stable release pattern. Yes, there's going to be an element of turning because the arms still turn in the shoulder sockets, but for me it feels like I'm doing a throw as opposed to a turning or actively trying to square the face up like so. To do that though, you've got to have the right grip, and I've done videos on that before, but I'm really feeling my right hand release through the shot, and I'm going to try and square it up. So back and release, and for me the ball just generally goes pretty straight. I'm very lucky that I can hit the ball pretty straight when I do this, because I can do it with the driver as much as I like, but for me it means that I can throw harder and have no fear of the left hand side of the course. I can keep it nice and square throughout most of the swing. So it's really important you learn to do this. So I'm just going to give you the drills that I do, and you can try and pick and see which one you want in the next part. So one of the best ways that I learned to do this, it was very, very simple, and you can probably do it better with a wedge than a 7-iron, is literally just make one-handed swings just with your right hand, just to get that feel of the right hand hinging back on itself and through. Now, I would just chip a few balls. Don't have to go big swings. I don't need big long swings, but I want you to just start off with a relatively small chip shot. So you're just going to hold down the handle with your right hand only. You put your left hand underneath, or whatever you want to do, and literally just hinge that wrist back and forth. But I feel like it's hinging back on itself and through and under. So it feels like it's throwing under as opposed to turning. Okay, you're going to find that quite hard, but you can tee it up, feet together, and just literally back and through, and just practice that as much as you possibly can, just hitting one-handed chip shots, just back and through. And I'm trying to feel, for me, that I'm hinging the wrist back and that the palm of my hand faces down to the ground, and so does the club face. As I release through, I feel then the palm of my hand is then facing to the sky. So if I come back this way and through, on the follow through, I feel like the face of the club is pointing to the sky, or the club face is working up, and that the palm of the right hand is also facing up to the sky as well. And just practice hitting shots like that. Don't have to be great, but just back and just through, and I'm going to just see how well that works. And the beauty of it is, if I can learn to hinge my wrists that way, come on Baker, if I can learn to hinge my wrists in this fashion, I can actually then control trajectory by either not unhinging it on the way through, because that de-lofts the club face, or by adding more hinge as I hit through the ball, that'll add loft. But the one thing it does though is, if I'm just doing this, it doesn't change the direction in which the ball starts. My ball will start relatively straight pretty much most of the time. I'd try it with your wedges first, back and through. You'll be amazed at how accurate it will be when you do this. So I'm fighting a bit of a cold. I've had it for a week. So you don't have to drop any sympathy down below, that's fine. But anyway, so working on that is a real must. And I promise you, if you get that right, you will start to hit the ball a heck of a lot better. Once you've done that a few times and you've got that feel, you've then got to translate that then into a golf swing. And really, the feel that I gave you a second there a minute ago, which was to feel as though that you're feeling the palm feels like it's facing down to the ground on the backswing, and the face feels like it's down to the ground. It's not. It's actually square to my swing path. But that's the feeling you want to return to on the downswing as you come down. But then on the follow through, the feeling is to feel as though the right hand works under the left. Okay, so, or the trail hand, whatever you want to call it. The trail hand works underneath. I'm keeping the club face to the sky, even though it's not. Again, it's square to my swing path, which is my spine angle roughly. And the left hand will do what it has to do. The left hand will generally want to hinge back on itself, which is fine. It doesn't want to be turning over. And just start making bigger swings. So I'm just going to feel right hand down, right hand up. So it feels like it's pointing down on the backswing, up to the sky on the forward swing. You'll feel like you're playing a bit of a scoopy sort of shot. It won't work that way, but it will feel that way. So I'm going to swing back and up. Now, from there, the ball will go like a rocket straight. And it's just practicing it, that's all. And it's just taking time. Now, you can start off with either longer but slower swings or shorter normal swings, okay, and build up from there. The trick is though, you're gonna, I mean, I'm doing this with a 7-iron, but you then got to start working it up to 5-iron, 4-irons, 3-woods, 5-woods, what driver, okay, you've got to work it up. But that feeling is going to work throughout the whole bag, and that's really where you're going to start to see your shots becoming laser straight. So there you have it. That's what I would call the 2 release patterns. Now, they're both correct. You can both do either one. For me personally, the throw action is probably the most reliable and the one that I would teach. But you've got to make sure you've got a good grip. We'd always start with a good grip, making sure the left hand is strong enough and the right hand's mirroring the club face. Once you've done that, then you can start working on the throw release. It's really going to help your game, and I can't begin to tell you how straight people can hit it once we've helped them master it. It takes a bit of time because it goes against what you've probably been taught and told to do, but give it time and it will work, and start slowly and build up. We always see so many people want to rush straight into the driver, but no, start with a wedge, build up. Okay, anyway, I hope that helps you. Please drop a comment if you have any suggestions on that, or if you think this is helping you or it doesn't help you, or you want to find out a bit more. More than happy to answer any questions. I always generally do. And again, thank you for watching. I want to thank you to the new subscribers as well. Thank you. There was 41 of you last week, so I take that as an honor. I really do. And thank you to all my other subscribers as well. I really appreciate it. I'm getting close to 2,000, so if I can get up to 2,000, I'd really appreciate it. So, but yeah, any questions on that, please drop a comment. Remember to like, subscribe and share. But yeah, any questions on that, please feel free to let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next week.